Welcome, everybody, to the Pete DuPont Freedom Foundation's E3 Lunch and Learn for November 2021. I'm very excited that all of you were able to join us today, and I'm extremely excited to introduce today's speaker. But before we get to that, you'll see a few different faces listed as panelists today, and that includes myself, Stephanie Johnny, Executive Director of the Pete DuPont Freedom Foundation, as well as E3 partner PMG Consulting, Peggy Geisler and Christy Handley, and our featured speaker today, Patricia Rivera. So before we get in, I just want to let you know a few housekeeping items. This is a webinar, but we want it to be interactive. So if anybody has a question or wants to interact with any of our speakers today, please use the raise hand feature. There's also a Q&A feature that we will be monitoring. And of course, utilize the chat feature. And as we see questions pop up, we'll bring them up and we'll be able to add you as a panelist so that way you can ask your questions in person if you'd like to, or virtually if you'd like to. So a little bit about our feature today. So today we're going to be featuring Hook PR and Marketing, which is a marketing firm based out of Milton, Delaware. And they are the friendliest multilingual and multicultural marketing agency for change makers. And leading the conversation today is Patricia Rivera. And so Patricia, I'm going to let you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself and take it over.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Stephanie, and thank you to the foundation for having us here. So we're here to talk to you about the customer journey. And first, a little bit about myself. I've been with Hook for about 15 years now. I started as a journalist. So we really, and I worked at the News Journal, Dallas Morning News, et cetera. So we go into marketing with very much of a storytelling approach. And obviously now it's a digital storytelling approach. And I'm really excited to be able to talk to you about how we see marketing as the most effective tool in 2021. Do you want me to just get started or?
Yeah, absolutely.
Wonderful. I would love just to see what kind of businesses are represented here. That way, if I'm able to provide any specific examples, and I know you're here, so if you could just tell me maybe what kind of business you have or industry, if you want to put it in the chat, that would be great. And then I'll go ahead and get started. So today we're going to talk about the customer experience, and specifically, sorry, hold on, I'm trying to share my screen here. Okay, wonderful. So we want to talk specifically about understanding the customer journey. And as you all know, COVID really changed how we interact with clients. We know that the businesses that survived COVID were the ones who were really able to understand their clients' needs. And as a result of that, we're able to respond quickly in a very agile way, whether it was providing services online or delivery service, et cetera. But understanding the needs of the clients was critical for survival, as was loyalty, because the clients wanted to support businesses. So as a result of COVID, now our interaction with our clients is much more personalized. And I think as business owners, we understand the need to really be in touch with clients and understand how their needs is changing given other circumstances. We also understand that marketing today is really about that transformative experience that we provide to clients. It's not really a transaction anymore. It's like, how can we help them achieve a change that they want, or how can we help them achieve an experience that they're looking for? So the more that we can really focus on that journey and that transformation, the better stories that we can tell. And so again, we're going into, understanding the customer journey is really important because we want to make sure that they have a positive experience. Because with digital now, we understand that there are a lot of opportunities for people for different reasons to talk about negative experience they're having with businesses. So as a result of that, we really want to make sure that we're intentionally providing and deliberately providing positive experiences every step of the way. And when we start to talk about these experiences and this customer journey, and I'm going to go into it in a minute, we're really starting to help clients achieve what they want in their own relationship with us, as opposed to what we want them to achieve. So that's just some ideas for why the customer journey is important right now. So when we look at sales and marketing, we've long talked about the funnel, right? We want to make sure that we're aware of the different stages, awareness, right? We want people to even understand that they have a problem, right? And then to start getting interested in resolving that problem, to have enough information to make a decision, and then to make a sale. So we've always understood this to be the traditional funnel. I want to talk to you today about the marketing hourglass, because what it does is it allows us to create a lot of work at the beginning when we're buying, right? It's a much narrower funnel. But then at the bottom, as you'll see, we want to create opportunities for repeat and referral, because then that gives us the greatest opportunity for businesses to grow. So that's what we're going to focus on today. And this is how this approach is a little bit different from what you've seen in the past. So I'm going to just open up the chat to make sure that I'm seeing what everyone is doing here. So we have nonprofits, B2B, biotech, and more. Okay, wonderful. So we've got a nice diverse, a lot of service providers. So that's great. So, so this hourglass, and this is really a concept of duct tape marketing. And just so you know, I'm a duct tape marketing consultant. We have our own, brand, but I chose to pursue that affiliation because I really believe in the education it provides. I think this approach to marketing works. I've always used it personally, but last year I did decide to invest in the education and ongoing networking with them as well, because I really believe in it. So we have our own brand and we don't necessarily put it on our material, but this is very much comes from that duct tape philosophy. So the idea is we can't expect our clients to go from knowing us to buying. It just doesn't happen, right? It's a progression. We really have to sort of be aware of that progression and be respectful of it. So what does it look like? When we're preparing our marketing, we want to make sure that we first have enough opportunities for them to know that we exist, right? They have to know that we're even out there. Once they know us, we want them to like us and then trust us, try, buy, repeat, and refer. And if you remember the hourglass, right? Initially, we were looking at the funnel, and the funnel really stopped around here. Okay, we bought them, we got them, that's it. There was nothing else. And again, this hourglass just makes us more aware that when they're buying, right, that's an opportunity to really start to expand our services and our customer experiences so they can repeat and refer. And these are specific tactics, and we'll go into them in much more detail. And for anyone who's interested, I also have a checklist, an Excel checklist that I'm happy to share with you through Stephanie that will allow you to see where you are in each of these stages or phases. Okay. All right. So, we, as you can see, the first stage is know, like, trust, and try, right? And the purpose of these stages is really for your clients and for your prospects to really understand who you are, what you stand for, and how you're different from everyone else. So that's an opportunity to share your value with others, right? And how your business is uniquely positioned to solve their problems. So you'll see here, we have know, like, and trust. This is all part of marketing. And once you start getting into the try and buy, we have to understand that this is part of the sales process. And then repeat and refer is service. So this isn't just about marketing. It's really getting through all of the services and tactics that you need to provide to get them to refer. And oftentimes we spend too much time here on the no without really thinking through what that buying experience is going to be like. And then again, the repeat and refer. So this sort of gives you the bigger picture. In the beginning, we want to focus more on having them really understand the value, the services, the advantages, and then we're going to move on to those sales experiences that make them want to come back, that make it easier, and then the service that helps them want to repeat and refer. So the buy phase, just going through it again, is that opportunity to receive what was promised, right? And that's really important in marketing. And then the repeat and refer is, as humans, we want to talk about what makes us happy, what really fulfilled us and helped us in that transformation. So these are opportunities, again, to provide that positive experiences and then to get people to talk about you and the wonderful opportunities of growth that they've had with you. And these 7 behaviors, and I think this is really important, reflect a human desire about the relationship they want to have with a company. It's no longer just about transaction. It's really about relationships. And I think we have to rethink how we see our experiences with our clients and really focus on building relationships. So as we do this, it takes actually sitting down and thinking about what your customer needs at each stage. And again, I have an Excel worksheet that can help walk you through this. But I just wanted you to know that it does require to actually sit down with each of the phases and say, okay, how are we answering their questions at each stage? What do we have as a touch point and what can we be doing better? So it does take some time to develop this journey. So the next thing I want to do is really kind of go into each phase, what's involved in this phase. And then at the end, I want to just take I want to take questions to help you start to develop your process. So again, the first thing we want to do in this journey, is this customer journey, is provide them the information so that they can even know you exist. That includes any websites, right? And make sure that with websites, if you're trying to be competitive, that you're thinking SEO, because that's one of the best ways that they'll come to know. When they have a problem, they're going to type in their problem. And if you appear, then that's an opportunity to get to know you and your services. So website with SEO, advertising, any networking opportunities, referrals, and again, that educational content. So there's a lot of opportunities, and too often we focus too much just on this phase. So just keep that in mind, that we need to be thinking about the other phases as well. So the next one is like, right? They know us, but then they have to like us. A lot of times, like is often about that first experience. They could go on your website and it doesn't load, or the information is really outdated. It has 2019 data. Or they come into your establishment and no one is really asking them anything. Or so that first impression, just like it's really important in one-on-one, interactions, it's really important as well that they come to you once they know you, that that you're doing something to get them to like you as well. Often community involvement is a great way to just build goodwill. Events, having a physical presence somewhere, really understanding your value proposition, how you're different, and being able to articulate that is a way for people to see you differently and like you. Your graphics, your social engagement, the way your people interact, all of those are great tools and tactics to build that likability. From there, we have trust. Right, trust is saying, okay, this person knows what they're doing. They have the experience. They have the knowledge, whereas SEO comes in. If you have, thought leadership, if you have resources, and they start to say, okay, this organization sort of knows what it's doing. Obviously, reputation, referrals, success stories, public relations, having just good press relations. And that brand experience. At the end of the day, it's really about that brand experience. And it's so important to just keep in mind that trust has to be earned, and it can be lost very easily. So it's an important part to focus on in this buying process. From here, we're going to continue to try. So this is, from everything in regarding how your staff or your team interacts with clients or prospects, to actually having demonstrations or having events or even workshops. It's any opportunity that is free for them to get a taste of what you're doing. This is really important because obviously from here, they go to the step where a lot of times, we focus on is buying. We want them to believe in the promise that we're making, right? And buying also involves, if you remember that line, it's part of that sales. So buying really involves making sure that your sales process is smooth, making sure that you're answering those questions that they have right from the beginning, that you have a good onboarding process in place if you need it, orientation, training, etc. You want to make that buying experience really easy and memorable so that they can recommend, and obviously so they can do it again. And a really important tool is communication. And I was just at a workshop last week that I absolutely loved, because it talked about one of the most important things that you can do in sales is really have empathy to understand what the problem is, to be able to ask really good questions. So, right, you have curiosity. So then that you have sort of the ability to make a recommendation, which is that sales pitch, right? So it takes getting to know your prospects from an empathetic place, and then being curious about the information they're providing, so you can really make an effective sales. And it's strange not to have questions, but I'm going to continue. So from here, we want them to come back, because it's much easier to sell someone who already trusts you than to convert a new one. So here we're looking at, your success, your testimonials, case studies, cross sells, just whatever is needed. And this is just the beginning list, to make sure that people are able to explain why they're repeating with you, provide them opportunities to repeat with you, just be thinking about what that whole experience is like for them. And from here, we go to refer, because obviously we want them to tell others about you. And there are a lot of opportunities to do referral programs, materials, outreach, etc. There's a lot, that we do on this end as well. But it's again, we look at that funnel, right? Initially, it really stopped at buy. With this hourglass, we're spending a lot of time in the buy, repeat, and refer, because it's just really important. And I've got a couple questions here, and actually that's I'm gonna just finish. This is my last one, and then we can go on to the questions. So when you're actually doing this brainstorming, you'll have an Excel sheet that will serve as a checklist of all of the possibilities, whether you have them in place, you need them, etc. And then this is also another tool that you can use, just sort of mind mapping to determine, okay, what are we going to do? What are the tasks? What are the tactics in the tool that we can use for each of these phases? So from there, again, I don't get any, compensation, but I believe in this philosophy. We use it. John just came out with a book. A lot of this information is in here. What I like about this book versus some of his other ones is that it talks a lot more about that customer experience and how important it is. And he uses the term membership to make, which doesn't have to be like a formal program or anything, but it's just the idea that once you have a client, that they feel like there's a privilege of working with you, that there are benefits that they're thinking about, that you're really looking out for their interests, and you're looking out for their transformation, right, as it relates to what you offer them. And I think that's really useful. So, my recommendation is, get the book, obviously there's no link or anything, but it'll be the best $10, $15, whatever it is, investment in really understanding this journey and creating that experience that makes for long-term clients. So with that, I'm going to jump to the chat and to the moderation, right? Okay, so yes, that's a great question about nonprofits. Okay, hold on a second. Guadalupe, promote volunteerism and ways volunteers can support the nonprofits. Okay, can you explain? Okay, so we work a lot with nonprofits, and we use this tool. We actually, yes, have used it with our clients. And so how we do it, Cindy, is we put all of the phases in, and only some of the tactics are included. If once you get the Excel sheet, you'll see. So what we do every month is we look at those phases, and then we select at least 3 tactics. Like, we know for someone to know about you, or maybe to trust you, that we need to be building content. So if you're a nonprofit, whether it's expertise, content related to your expertise, or for donors, right? We know, I'm sorry, let me step back. So what we do is every month we'll look at an Excel sheet, and it'll say no. And under no, we have at least 3 tactics of what we're trying to do. Trust and try, right? And it may be that on any given month, you focus on 3, because it's hard to do all 7 at once. And as you get more established, you'll have more of your know and like in place, right? And the like becomes more of maintenance, like through social media. And then you'll be moving down to make sure that your sales, like your onboarding process for new clients, is stronger. So every month you're going to be wanting to look at your phases and see what can you do to strengthen it, right? For instance, for making sure that you're getting referrals, right? You want to make sure you have case studies, right? And you're also, or repeats, the case studies that is showing the success of your organization. So that's how it definitely translates to nonprofits, and we do it all the time, but it's going to take sort of you stepping back and figuring out what you need, specifically your organization, in each of those phases to really move that client. And it's going to be different if it's a donor. Like, a donor is going to need very different content and tools and prompts than someone who is receiving a service from you. So hopefully that's helpful. Any others? Absolutely.
Do you ever use, I just had a question, do you ever incentivize referrals in any way, shape, or form, or would you ever suggest that? Like, if you have different organizations that make referrals to you because they've developed a relationship with you, know you do outstanding work, and then others come along and are like, I've got 2 or 3 clients that I want to send your way. Do you ever like work with them on stuff like that, or incentivize?
Yeah.
The business?
We've done a lot more for like, B2C. That's a lot easier to do. I think for B2B, it's about relationships, and it's much more individualized. So yes, we do it, and it is much more individualized.
I get that.
Yeah.
How do you, the other question I was thinking about when you first started presenting at the beginning is that many businesses don't share their value proposition. Like, I had seen Andy on here earlier, like they have a mission behind their vision for their company, right? And one of our taglines from our company is that it's about, we define our success by yours, meaning you're always at the center. If we're not helping you get to where you are, how do you really, as an organization, help them see that value proposition early on in the relationship? Like, how do you establish, that's part of that trust, right? So how do you establish that and then maintain that through your relationships to ensure that people are, that they want to be a part of working with you? It's not just about price points, Because, you know, I've chased price points and then gotten really poor quality because it doesn't align with our values, right? So I wonder if you could speak to that a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the first things that we do when we start is we talk about messaging, right? And to understand messaging, we have to sort of dig deep. And we use, I was just talking to Stephanie about it, we use the Simon Sinek Start With Your Why exercises. And you probably do the same, Peggy. And I think that, you know, especially for the type of organizations that we work with, that's the starting point. Why are we doing what we're doing, right? And then you translate that into first the why, and then the how, and then the what, right? So I have found that the clients are clients who have been open to that who have been open to this exercise of starting with your why and really digging deep, have found it to be incredibly beneficial. They have found it to be transformative because that allowed them to lead with their value proposition, right? And I'm a big believer. I mean, one of the changes that we've seen in the last 5 years is, you know, Simon Sinek, again, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. Right. And this whole idea of being a meaningful brand, regardless of what you do, whether you're selling ice cream or you're selling shoes, right, or providing B2B services, people want to know that there's a greater reason for it and they're willing to invest and pay more money. But obviously this has to be authentic and it has to be aligned with your mission. It has to be aligned with your vision and not something that you're doing to sort of like, you know, come off as more community minded when you're really not. I mean, there has to be authenticity. So again, what we do, the very first thing we do is after we do the audit, we do that analysis of your why and how are we going to translate that into a story across your website. So that's really important. And that's how we approach it, is always leading with the why. And I think there are some questions. Okay, so yes, Simon. Yeah, all right, good. Yes,
I'm gonna link the book in there. It's a very long link, but that goes straight to the Amazon account so you can find the book and check it out.
Yeah, that is about why leaders inspire, and that's another great book as well of his. So
yeah, so I think the other follow-up for that, when you were talking about that, is it's okay for young companies not to support certain clients, like if they don't match. Like through my learning, I've taken on clients that aren't good clients for me. Like they don't match our core values, and I think at first when you're hungry, you'll sometimes take anybody, and then you'll realize by doing that it creates more problems for you, right? So
absolutely. I think one of the best things we can do is really as businesses, as growing businesses, is understand what we stand for. Right. And if our values, and it is values driven, don't align with prospects, it's not a good match. It's not a good match for them, and it's not a good match for us and our team. And we've learned that as well, and are much more cautious about who we engage with.
Yeah. So how would somebody go about learning more about or wanting to be able to think about when you're talking about this duct tape concept, right? How does one do that?
So he's written a bunch of books. John, he's just a great guy. I followed him as an author for years until I became affiliated with him. But just go to Amazon.com. The Duct Tape Marketing is one of his first books. I actually recommend the one I showed you, The Marketing Engine. Is a small business roadmap. Yep. And I think a lot of people were turned off by the term duct tape marketing. And so this new book, which I have it, and you can see I'm really, my dog ate it. So, but here it is. This one is the Ultimate Marketing Engine. And so it's the same philosophies, but he's also he's made it very 2021, and this whole idea of customer experience. So that's, I think, the best, how much is it? I don't know how much it is, but $20, not even, right? $15, Stephanie, maybe you'll see. I think that's the best way to start. It lays it all out. There are online resources as well that you can get for it. And there's just a lot out there because he's been around long enough that you can sort of educate yourself in the process. And again, I've got that Excel sheet, which I'm happy to share with everyone that will sort of guide you through it as well.
That'd be great. We appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Does anybody have questions? This is a chance to ask the expert. Free advice and support and services, and I'm all about that. As you'll notice, I wasn't shy. I know when I get somebody who's talented, as Patricia on here, I'm going to ask those types of questions, right? So does anybody have any other questions or things that they'd like to know that can support their organization?
Yeah, and feel free to be specific.
Yep, we got a small group, so.
It looks like Anthony or Andy has a question in the Q&A.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, we're in early stage product development, optical inspection system for door.
Yeah, he didn't give you an easy one.
I read that. That's why I gave Anthony the option to be able to interact. Because
Okay.
I saw that it was a very in-depth question.
Okay, so he can talk, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Hi, Anthony.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Okay, as you can see, it's a bit detailed, but it's a very significant development. We have IP behind it now, and the customers, we need to grow our market too. But these are indoor growers, so they're interested in improving their yields and the quality. Quality includes, things like safety from, pathogens. But anyway, yeah, we've grown developed much of this under grants, and got another grant to continue development. And the enthusiasm is there because the market growth is huge. Opportunities, okay? You're talking about 15 to 20% CAGR, right? Compounded annual growth rate. So it's early stages of having the prototype, which would go into the areas where they grow the plants indoors, okay? So the complication is these are the first two. They've known us and worked with us for a couple of years now, and they're very ready to use this product. But it's the first phase was on a bench top. What they want is a device they could put into the growth chamber, okay? So that's the trick, is how do you do that and do that successfully and reliably and fast, okay? Those are our real advantages: speed and accuracy, okay, when this thing is mobile. So anyway, assuming they like it, then the next phase comes, pricing and how much do they like it? Does it meet all their needs? In the two cases we're dealing with, they both see value for it because there's nothing like it at this point anywhere else for what it does. And I can't tell you all that, unfortunately, but we have some advantages if it works the way they need. And then we realize too, we may have to do some pivoting or redesign, but that's where we're at.
So you're asking me for, I don't know if that's mine and I apologize. So you're asking me for advice specifically on?
Well, I would say, how do you have the conversations with these very enthusiastic people because they're excited about the development? They see the value in it. They just, we're not at the point where we have really demonstrated all and met all their needs. So what kind of conversations you have, especially asking like, here's a storyboard. This is what we want to do with you guys. We can do this. We will get it done. How far do I look down that road in terms of, the total value proposition and the total ask of them?
Right.
Yeah.
How far are you from being able to put this out?
What we think we have a beta version, and we'll have a prototype sometime in March, April.
Okay. I mean, if you have an audience right now, first, I think transparency is really important so
Yeah.
that they understand that this is also a journey for you and sort of documenting that, right? It's exciting to be sort of in the front row of something like this that has such potential to change their industry. So, I mean, I would say, maintaining really ongoing communications. You can do it through newsletters. You can do it. I don't know how many you're talking about. It sounds like it's maybe a handful of prospects. Is that right?
That's right.
Then you know what? Then personalized emails that, update them on where you're at, make it exciting that this is a journey. This is, cutting edge. They're really, again, in the front line of something really exciting. So build up that enthusiasm, continue to give them updates, keep that wait list, right? Talk about a wait list. You'll be the first one. Keep them engaged. So with 5, it's a great opportunity to really make it much more personal.
Mhm.
So you're ready to go. Then you're already sold it. They're just waiting, right? So,
Yeah, pretty much.
Build enthusiasm, make them feel like they're a part of something really exciting, and continue to communicate with them regularly.
Right. And we have, so, that's a key. The other thing, just as information, we got a significant government grant to go forward, and they're both involved, the 2 main customers that we have, there are several, but the 2 main ones are really excited that we got the grant because one of them's going to work with us as a subcontractor.
Okay. The other thing is, I think this is an opportunity for you to build your educational content and really help understand others, right? You've got great 5 who are interested, but you need to be able to understand, educate, right? Explain it to more people. I think doing infographics is really important right now as you're waiting, as well as just developing more content. Even anything like that's downloadable, like a book that will help them understand the process and how this is going to improve their process or their end product.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Absolutely. Any others?
Patricia, I have a question. You talk about engaging with your potential customers. How often would you suggest that they should be engaging with them via email? Maybe it's a newsletter that they put out. Is that a weekly thing? Is that a monthly, quarterly? What's the best?
It really depends on the industry, the business, what you have to say. I think the best communications are, again, authentic. They provide value, right? So if you're not really providing value to an organization and you're, in it for yourself, that comes through. People get tired of it and they'll opt out. So I think that if you are able to strengthen the relationships through your communication, I don't think anyone does it weekly anymore unless you have a membership model and that's part of what you're selling, right? And you promise that, then people are waiting for it. But otherwise, monthly is good. Monthly is good. Short, add videos. I don't think we're doing enough video on email marketing, and that really does improve engagement as well.
Looks like we have another question from Cindy. What should clients bring to the table for our first meeting?
Okay, Cindy, you have a nonprofit, right? I'm sorry.
I don't have a nonprofit, but I work with nonprofits. And so I work in tech, but I work with nonprofits. And a lot of times they're just initially starting their marketing plans and don't really have any expertise in it.
Okay, so you do marketing for...
No, I do not do marketing. I work in the tech industry and they're looking for marketing. So just looking really for references and trying to help them figure out where to start.
Right. So, if you were, for instance, to take the model, right, the the hourglass model, the duct tape model, and just go through that. I mean, that provides you a checklist for, you know, every industry should be developing content and tools to help you get to know you, right? The whole thing, know, like, and trust, try, buy, at least, you know, that. So even just having them be able to answer what they're doing for each of those phases will help you identify gaps and opportunities for them. And that will help start a conversation at least. So I think what they would need to bring to the table, I think was your question, is just a real thorough understanding of what they are doing with their marketing so that you can do like a quick assessment and analysis to help them start to develop a plan.
I guess I should clarify. I didn't mean for them to bring to me. I'm saying if I was bringing them to you to do their marketing, what do they need to like kind of be prepared for?
Okay, thank you.
Flyers in Canva my whole life, so I am not the person that would help them. I'm talking about what they would bring to you.
Okay, no, okay, thank you. I appreciate that. So that I think, you know, that initial conversation really also involves what their goals are. And a lot of, you know, the tactics that you do are gonna try to support whatever goals that they have for the year, for the quarter, et cetera. So just an introduction and then we can take it from there. And I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy.
I did include in the chat a link to Hook PR's website for anybody interested in learning more. The website is wonderful. So I think that's a telltale sign of what you'd be getting by working with Patricia and her team. The foundation also works with Patricia, Hook PR, and Hook PR is one of our preferred E3 vendors for marketing. So she is part of our cachet of service providers as well.
Thank you, Peggy.
No, thanks for being here. And you know, Stephanie, and if you have any follow-up questions, you can always send them to us, and we'll be glad to connect you, whether it's with one of the vendors or if you need other services and you're an entrepreneur or you want any kind of support. That's what we're here for with the P. DuPont Freedom Foundation and the E3 system. We want to make sure we're connecting you to the resources you need. And if you have friends who are also entrepreneurs or small business owners, make sure you link them in with us. We've got some CEO that are going to be doing a talk. I think Christy can share that or put that up or possibly tell us a little bit about it. It's in the chat already?
Just shared in the chat.
Look at this. This is the team. So if there's a way to put, so really looking at connecting a lot of our businesses with how to find leadership, capital, resources from C-suite individuals. We want to make sure you have everything you need to meet your needs for your business. So if there's something else we can do, put that in the chat as well. And I think we're at an end then, Stephanie and Patricia and Christy.
Yeah, I believe we are. And if anyone is interested in that Excel spreadsheet, please let us know in the chat and I will make sure that I send this off to you. Thank you, Patricia, so much for being willing to share that. I really appreciate that. And if anybody wants access to that presentation deck that you shared, are we able to share that as well?
Yep.
All right.
So if anybody has interest, please let us know. Patricia, thank you so much for taking time out of your day. That was a wonderful presentation. Really, I mean, I would love to be able to take a look at that presentation deck one more time. Peggy and Christy, thank you so much for your input.
Okay, we've got some people, so they would like the presentation and they'd like the spreadsheet and the deck. So we'll make sure we get that out to anybody who attended today. And we will also be promoting this so that those who couldn't be with us today can go back and then they can watch it on their own accord. And make sure that your information's on that last slide so they can reach out to you personally if they have a need.
Yep, absolutely.
All right.
Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Have a great afternoon.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks.